Good evening. We're coming to you live from the A&S Student Center in the heart of the University of Kentucky campus in beautiful Lexington, Kentucky. Well, it's normally beautiful, but it's a little rainy and wet today, but still a beautiful city. Thanks for watching, whether you're here with us live tonight or whether you're watching later. Tonight's for you. Ask us anything. We'll do our best to answer. If we can't answer live, then we'll get back to you. But we will always do our best to get the answer for you. Now, this panel today is representing the College of Arts and Sciences. So if you have questions about another college, we're not going to answer them live today on the air, but we will pass on your questions to the appropriate representative from those colleges. So the plan is to spend about an hour with you, but that's really up to you. We'll stay as long as you still have questions. First, let me introduce our student panel. Trinity, we'll start with you.
Hey everyone, I'm Trinity Houston. I'm from Oxford, Alabama. I am majoring in psychology on the pre-medical track, and I'm also minoring in philosophy and cognitive science.
Hey everyone, my name is Nolan Dahl. I'm a political science major with a minor in history, and I'm going to be beginning my MBA program here at Gatton in June. I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky.
Hi everybody, my name is Adon Deep. Excuse me. I'm a senior majoring in biology and minoring in wildlife bio and management. I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky, but my family lives in College Station, Texas.
And good afternoon. My name is Royal Todd. I'm a senior here, majoring in philosophy with minors in sociology and African American studies, and I am from Louisville, Kentucky.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. I know it's always tough to get together in an evening when we have studying to do, and so again, thank you for being here. So let's just start. Royal, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Why did you choose to come to UK?
Yeah. So, I mean, UK offered me that the duality that you needed when trying to establish yourself at an institution. It gave me the closeness and farness away from home that I needed, close enough that I could go back if I needed to, but far enough away that I could establish myself as my own person. But it also gave me a very good financial aid opportunity as well, and so it's been very affordable for me to go here.
Good. Nolan, what about you?
Well, for me as a Kentucky native, you know, it was kind of an obvious choice. The UK is the flagship university of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. It has an amazing array of opportunities for students to engage in community development as well as network with other students. So I recognized that the community was so very vibrant, and I wanted to get right in on the ground floor.
Adon?
So I chose UK in kind of a roundabout way. As a high school student, I was pretty much determined to leave the state. I thought that I could only get the adventure somewhere other than Kentucky. And after looking around and touring other schools, UK was the only school I toured where I could actually see myself going there. I fell in love with the greenery, with the people, with the infrastructure, with the research that was going on here. I want to do research after undergrad. So that was a big pull factor for me. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made.
That's interesting that you say that because, you know, a lot of times people who live in Lexington or around Lexington, they think they know the campus.
Right, yeah,
but
they don't.
Until you
It's
take the
insane.
tour, until you really visit on an academic visit,
Yes.
you really don't know the campus, even though if you live right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
There's
So I'm
many
glad you
things
brought that up.
You get opportunities to kind of see from a student perspective, and so many things that, like, if you were just walking the campus on your own, you would never see unless someone shows it to you.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
Agreed.
Good. Good. Trinity?
Oh, and for me personally, just being from Alabama, I felt like there wasn't a lot of experiences there for me, not a lot of opportunity, and I'm also from a very small town, so there wasn't a lot of diversity, and that's something that I was looking for personally. So when I did come here to UK, I was very pleased with the campus. I was very pleased with the diversity and the opportunities that were, just provided to me as an incoming freshman. So I really love that about it. I love the campus as a whole, and I'm just really grateful that I allowed myself to leave my home state and just really branch out of my comfort zone. So that's why I came here personally.
And how did you kind of discover Kentucky? How did Kentucky get on your list?
Well, I actually had a friend who was a huge UK basketball fan, and he kind of introduced it to me. So he was like, if you're looking for out-of-state opportunities, you should really visit UK. Both of his parents actually went here, and he didn't get the opportunity to go here, but he told me that I should definitely come visit the campus and just see how I feel about it as a whole. And so I did come here, and I visited the campus, and I toured, and I just fell in love, just like you were saying, too. I fell in love with the campus. I love that everything was really modern. I love the dorms. I felt like it was very secure. I also felt like there was a sense of community, and it honestly felt like my home away from home, which is what I was really looking for, especially being so far away from my parents and like really having to get that experience on my own and grow and mature on my own. I just really felt like I had a sense of community here, so I really love that about it.
The community, I think, is a really big thing. I didn't
Right.
feel that other places I went. Even other places in Kentucky, like, I don't know, UK, you could feel the community.
Yeah.
You could feel
Agreed.
how people really wanted to be here, and just like the love that goes around this campus.
And I think that's done intentionally on the part of the institution, in that UK puts a lot of effort and a lot of resources into the vibe of the campus.
Yes.
Right? Having something to do all the time, having places for students to go, having opportunities for students to get involved. It really brings people from wherever they are on campus, and it makes the campus, even though it's big, feel a lot smaller.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, and I can tell you that from the administration side, you're exactly right, and I'm glad to see that you recognize that. We meet all the time, and that's some of the things that we're looking for. We're always looking for opportunities for students to feel welcome, students from varying interests. The new esports thing that they have coming. I mean, that's just another example of finding a home for all of our students.
For sure.
So. Okay, I'm going to move on to some questions, but I just realized I failed to introduce myself. So let me do that. My name is Jesse Hedge. I'm Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Affairs in the College of Arts and Sciences, and one of my responsibilities is to help shape the class for the college, and then to once you get here, to make sure that you get the courses you need, and I have a great team that helps to make sure that you graduate on time. So that's my responsibility. So. All right, so we already have some questions, and I'll let Royal send this one to you.
Okay.
And it just says, can you speak more about Black alumni and the numbers finding success after college for Black students?
Oh yeah. So I guess to speak to that question, and I'm so thankful for that question. Since joining my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, I've been connected with a lot of Lexington individuals, like people who have established themselves as professionals in the city community. And for those of them that are actual UK alum, I've been especially connected with them. There is a committee of Black UK alum in particular that work to make sure that there's investments in persons of color, students of color, particularly Black students, and they have established themselves as a sort of network for students of color if they're looking for internships, if they're looking for jobs, if they're looking for like, what do I do after UK? And that sort of network of Black alum have been instrumental in a lot of individuals that I know personally sort of matriculating out of the institution and going into the real adult world, as we say.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. We have another question here. It says, how long will it take me to go from my living quarters to classes if I applied for STEMCATs and I'm a major in biology? You were a STEMCAT, right?
Yeah, I can speak on this. So I was a STEMCAT my freshman year. I peer mentored for STEMCATs my sophomore year, and for my junior and senior year, I actually work as a resident advisor in the STEMCATs dorm. So I've stayed on that side of campus my entire 4 years of undergrad. And to be honest, the longest I've walked is like maybe 10 minutes, 12 to 15 if it's a really nice day and I just kind of took my time. Living on that side of campus, living in STEMCATs, really allows us to be closer to the dorms that house the science classes, especially as you get kind of further up and more specialized in your degree. I honestly don't leave the kind of like trifecta of buildings that house the science classes. So that's like the chemistry physics building,
Right.
THM, and the Jacob Science building. That's honestly where I stay. I don't go much further than that. So.
Now, speaking of living learning programs, you live in a living learning program, right? Trinity?
Yes. I actually was in a living learning program my freshman year, and I really loved the opportunity that I got, just because it allowed me to be with a lot of other incoming freshmen who were taking the same classes as me. So again, it kind of gave me that sense of community that I was looking for. Being an out-of-state student, not really knowing anybody, I got that right off the bat living in that living learning program. And also, they just did a really good job of like providing us with opportunities to help us succeed. So we were given like workshops. They would just allow us to come eat and hang out and get to know each other a little bit better, and just also provide us with those peer mentors that were available at our disposal if we needed help with anything, if we had questions with anything like that. So I really love being in the Live and Learn program, just having like all those resources available to me, and also just like having like that sense of community right off the bat with students who were on the same path as me, or who were dealing with some of the same experiences that I was, like right off the bat. So I love that about it.
Living learning programs are just absolutely amazing.
Right.
Because like right off the bat, you have a dorm for study groups. You know,
Yeah,
like
agreed.
everyone's taking the same classes as you. All of my friends to this day, we met freshman year in STEM Cats. So it really kind of just follows you.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
like walk down the hallway and you just knock on someone's door like, hey, did you finish
It's
this
so
homework? Like,
easy.
I just love that. It was really convenient. And then, like I said, you just automatically get that sense of community. If you are an out-of-state student and you're worried about not knowing people, I feel like that helped me a lot as far as my transition over into UK in my first year. So I loved it.
I remember working with LOP my sophomore year, and the EdLife LOP, one thing that they do, and I don't know for sure if they do with other LPs, but I'm sure they do, they put all of their students in the same UK 101 class. And so like right off the bat, not only do you have like this community of individuals who like share similar interests, but now you guys like have a class together.
Yeah.
So you get
Yes.
like that small vibe from like a big institution.
Yes.
Yeah. And then some of the people that I met freshman year in that living learning program, I'm still friends with now. So I recommend it to anyone that's coming here, that's interested in being in that type of environment. You'll make lifelong friends out of it. So I definitely recommend it to anybody.
And I guess I should clarify exactly what a living learning program is. And a living learning program is it's basically a section of the residence halls where students of particular interests all live together. Now, in the College of Arts and Sciences, we sponsor 2 of them. One of them is STEM Cats, and it's focused on obviously STEM majors and the research that goes with it. So all of those students will take a Bio 101 together. Even if you're not a biology major, it's a Bio 101 class, but it's all really about research and preparing you for that. And then we also have another one called International Village. And International Village is a living learning program for students who are just interested in the international community. So we have several international students that live in International Village. We have students with international type majors, for example, modern and classical languages, literatures and cultures, foreign languages, international economics, U.S. culture and business practices. Students that are interested in those kind of majors, international studies as well, they often live in International Village. And then they get to meet with and get to know each other more. And it's really a cool program because it's set up where you have one international student who rooms or at least is in the same dormitory as a domestic student. So they really, really get to understand each other's culture, and they do a lot of cool things, as well as STEM Cats when they do, every student in STEM Cats does research, and they do research during their freshman year, and I think that's awesome. So during your freshman year, what was your research in STEM Cats?
So my research, what you were talking about with the classes, Royal, we have a Bio 101 course, like what you were saying, Jesse, and that's in the fall. So everybody in STEM Cats takes that class in the fall. And then in the spring, everyone signs up for various research opportunities. And these professors that are teaching this research, it's actual research. It's not like a predetermined lab that you're doing for your classes. So you actually get to contribute to science in your freshman year of college. And you can sign up for anything that kind of interests you. I signed up for one with Dr. Rucker. It was on cancer and looking at the effect of chemotherapeutics on cancer cells. And it was super awesome. Doing that lab is kind of what solidified the fact that I wanted to do research in the future. And it's kind of also what pulled me away from medicine. So I started out pre-med. I was a bio major and kind of everyone else was pre-med, so I just kind of did it because I thought that was the only option for me. And while I realized I loved research, medicine wasn't really where I wanted to put in my passions, and it kind of opened up that avenue for me to explore other things.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. All right, let's see here. All right, Nolan, this one's for you. For political science majors, do you feel it's a good choice as a major if you are interested in reporting for politics in the television industry or becoming a criminal psychologist?
Yeah, I think that really one of the best parts about the political science as a major is that it is so incredibly versatile. The skills that you're going to learn are very transferable to other kind of industries. Obviously, with criminal law and courtroom reporting in politics, some of the main skills that you're going to learn with political science majors are how to communicate with people, how to work within power structures, how to really kind of work within your community, and be able to build those relationships. It's really ultimately all about people and their relationships to one another. That's a skill that you'll be able to take with you into almost any industry across the board. And so I absolutely think that that would be a really great major to pursue if those are your interests.
And I'll piggyback off of that as well, just because I know that in part of the question it mentioned like criminal psychology. And being a psychology major, I have a couple of friends who are interested in psych, but also taking the law route of that. And they have an amazing faculty advisor, Dr. Golding. He combines psychology but also that law route. So if you are interested in criminal psychology, forensics, if you're big into CSI, criminal minds, things like that, and you're really interested in why like criminals behave the way they do, why they think the way they do, they have courses specifically for that here at UK. And they also have opportunities outside of that. So you can like do shadowing, you can do internships with that. So it's really big here at UK if you're interested in combining those two, and it's definitely doable.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to a research question. The question is, what are the research opportunities like for freshmen, and do you think UK would be a good place for pre-med? So we talked about STEMCATs already. So like we said, all freshmen in STEMCATs will do research. So that's, you're not going to find that just anywhere. That is a very unique program that we have. And the other thing that does is now when you're a sophomore and you want to do more research, well, now you already have some experience.
Yes.
So you're not walking in with an empty slate. You already have the experience going forward. So that's on the science side. Now, every major we have, you can do research at this university. So you did some research, right, with gender and women's studies?
Right, yeah. So one of the great things about doing research at the University of Kentucky, especially when it comes to presenting that research, is that UK does offer various conferences. I actually presented at my very first professional conference, the second annual Gender and Women's Studies Conference here in 2018. I presented on allyship and how that can impact survivors of sexual assault and gender-based violence. Now, I'm not myself a gender and women's studies major, but it was something that I felt that I was very passionate about. I was able to do the research with a team of really devoted people through the VIP Center here on campus, the Violence Intervention and Prevention Center. And it was a very simple conference, I felt like, for me to get in on. It was very accommodating. I think one of the main things that undergraduates, especially freshmen, would be worried about is, will the conference actually take my abstract? Will I be accepted? How competitive is it? And with the with UK conferences, it's really geared towards undergraduates a lot of the time, so they make it very accommodating, and it's very often a great first opportunity to really breach into that.
Excellent. And on that same question, the student asked if there are opportunities for physics and astronomy. And absolutely, there are opportunities for physics and astronomy. STEMCATs is a great place to get those opportunities to begin with. And then our physics department has plenty of opportunities. There's a ton of research going on in physics at the University of Kentucky. So absolutely, research is a great opportunity for you. All right, so we have another question that says, are students in the FLY program allowed to be in the Business Enterprise Living Learning program? The answer to that is I'm not sure. But we'll get that answer and come back to you with it. But I would also encourage you as a FLY major to consider the International Village. That's another great option. That doesn't mean that you should not consider the Business Enterprise Residential College. You absolutely should look into that and weigh your options. But we will get back to you on that question. All right. Next question is, as an out-of-state student from Pennsylvania, how affordable is UK? Well, there's a lot of things will go into that. A lot of factors will go into that as far as scholarships, as far as financial aid. So there are a whole lot of pieces to that. I recommend applying and taking a look at your financial aid documents that you'll get, and then you can make that decision from that point. Trinity, as an out-of-state student, is that the path you took?
Yes, and I would also suggest when you do decide your major, there are scholarships that are specific just to you and to the path that you decide that you want to go on. So I would say look into that as well and apply for as many as possible. And don't get discouraged if you're not getting all those scholarships. You will still find ways to pay for it. I promise it is doable. And that is one of the things that I was worried about coming from Alabama because the expenses are higher than in-state. But I will say, like, it is definitely doable. I applied for as many as possible, and I looked at all of my options. institutions. And I would say that UK definitely does a really good job of providing those resources to students as well, because they do want you to come here. They want out-of-state students coming here and getting to learn more about what they're interested in. So I would say like the opportunity is definitely available to you. You just have to do research and again apply to as many as you can.
All right, so I got another question about what is the best part about living on campus. So feel free to jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can take that. Honestly, the best part of living on campus for me has just been the connectivity. You're so close, like maximum a 20-minute walk, if that, from everything.
Yeah.
You are close to tutoring sessions. You're close to all your classes. I can wake up like 30 minutes before my class and be there right on time.
Yes.
The library is maximum a 2-minute walk from my dorm. I can see it from my bedroom window. It's just absolutely amazing to be living on campus because you get that connectivity. And you're also living with other students. And so as an RA, I kind of really love that, to make the connections with other people, to have, like, my best friend lives a floor down, like right underneath me. So we can always hang out, like we're always together. I can just go down there, knock on her door, and we can be at the library in like 5 minutes. So just how close everything is, how accessible everything is just honestly the best part of living on campus, I think.
I definitely like going into that more, the convenience about being around the happenings of the university. And that sort of goes back to what we had said earlier about the investment that the institution makes about putting money and putting resources into the campus environment and the field. And like I said earlier, there's always something that's going on. And so being able to just go and experience those things, networking opportunities, job fairs, career fairs, those sorts of things, being on campus and being able to like say, you know what, I can put this on and go to class, and then there's like an hour break in between my class. I'm gonna go home, change, go to the career fair, or go home, change, go to the gym, and then come back. And you know, that sort of convenience is why I've chosen to live on campus like all 4 years, as well as being an RA and making those connections and sort of getting new students acclimated to the campus environment and showing them all the resources that they have at UK and showing them all the things that's happening on campus and how they can get plugged in and find their niche here.
That's good. So, you know, if you look around behind us, it's kind of hard to see on this camera, but there's students everywhere, right? So if you don't live on campus, you miss that. You know, the gym is, I don't know, 100 steps that way.
Yeah.
The MLK Center is right there.
Yeah.
Right? Starbucks is right there. So, I mean, you miss all those things if you don't live on campus.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
It's just all here, and there's just so many other pieces that are here. Not to mention the part about studying, right? I mean,
Yes.
there's so many tutoring centers on campus that that are available to you that may not be available if you're not on campus. So those kind of things are there's a lot of intangibles that are out there that a lot of people don't really think about that you use all the time when you're here.
And like I'll piggyback off of that because I actually lived in the dorm my freshman year, but now I live in an apartment, and I definitely do mix the proximity of just everything. Like being able to walk to the library, I was, like you said, 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
Being able to walk to the dining halls when I was hungry and it was right there. And then also just being able to like walk 10 minutes to the football stadium if I want to go to a game versus having to drive now. So I definitely say I do miss that about it. And just like I think it helps ease your transition a little bit, and I would recommend it for any freshman student. Like definitely live on campus your first year because I feel like that helped definitely ease my transition coming from out of state, and it allowed me to get to know campus a lot more because I didn't know anything about it coming into it. So I definitely recommend that for any incoming students. Do live on campus your first year.
Yeah, I tell everybody that. Like, even if you're from Lexington,
Right.
live on campus your first year. The connectivity, like being with other people of your same year, your same major, having that connectivity to your classes and being close to everything, it really makes or breaks how you feel at UK.
Right.
I have
agree.
some friends who lived off campus their first year, and they're struggling trying to find friends, you know? It's just having that proximity of living on campus around everybody really just made UK really feel like home, more so than it already did when I first got here.
Attached to that, and I know that some of you can speak to this, but like when helping facilitate that transition from like coming into high school, going into college, UK recognizes that like that can be really challenging for students. And so living in the residence halls, UK actually, and through RA programming as well, brings those resources to the actual residence hall for the students. And so like if there are things, for example, I'm a resident advisor in Will England 3 that houses the engineering LLP. They brought an engineering 101 class into the residence hall itself. And so now like first year engineering majors are taking their preliminary classes inside the building that they live in. There's no better convenience than going downstairs to class. And then they put the study south in Woodland Glen 3. And so now you have like places where you can go get tutoring help within the building, in the lobby. And so like bringing the resources that we have available on campus into the actual halls themselves is something that the university does intentionally, and that sort of adds to the convenience about living on campus in the halls and enjoying that feel and doing some more of that networking, as you had talked about.
Yes.
I definitely think you can't overstate how convenient it is to actually live on campus. I mean, there are numerous studies that show that living on campus as opposed to living off campus increases graduation rates. You tend to find your niche, I think, a lot more quickly and more easily. So, I mean, I would definitely encourage anybody to live their freshman year here on campus, for sure.
All right, we'll stick with you with the next question, and that is, what's your most memorable experience at UK?
Oh, wow, my most memorable experience. Well, I guess for me, there was one of the many fairs that we host in the beginnings of the year. It's not K-Week, but it's one of the many things we do in August. I was working as a director of promotions for the Center for Community Outreach. This would have been in 2018. And so we were tabling and we were, interacting with the students and just sort of giving out various swag and such. And at one point, I'd actually jumped on the table and just started kind of handing out flyers en masse. And I mean, it was just a really, really great time. It was a really high-energy event. And I'm not a supremely high-energy guy most of the time, but I just got so caught up, I think, in the momentum. So I think that's definitely one of my most more memorable experiences, definitely.
So any of you want to share any other really memorable experiences?
I think one of the most memorable experiences that I had at UK was the time that I, as a sophomore, was granted the opportunity to head the Take the Lead conference through the William C. Parker Scholarship Office. And basically what that conference is for second semester sophomores in particular, and the CARES office sort of brings in professionals and workshops to like teach, develop, cultivate different skills for students. But for me, that was my first real opportunity for leadership on campus. And so that opportunity, being the public relations coordinator for that committee, reaching out to the various offices and the various colleges on campus to get some of that swag for students, and sort of facilitate conversations between administration and students, and sort of get that experience, was sort of a catalyst for everything that I would end up doing during my time here. And so I will never forget that experience, that opportunity that was extended to me to head that committee and put on that conference.
Good. All right, somebody says, I'm from Chicago, go Cubs. How is city life in Lexington? Let's see, you're probably from the biggest city that's here.
Yeah, I'm from Louisville, and this, like, living in Lexington is a lot different than living back home for sure. And so I can imagine that, it goes without saying that Lexington is no Chicago by any means. But with all the things that UK in particularly does, it sort of brings, again, some of those atmospheres and some of those interests to the university itself. I know for a fact we have a very dense population of people from the Chicago area at UK.
We do.
And so they bring all of those city vibes to Lexington. And of course, there's like theater and there's like bowling and all those sorts of things like in the city of Lexington that you can go and enjoy. But with UK, it sort of gives you that platform to sort of jump off into the I guess greater community of Lexington for sure.
Right. And then I'll always say too that like my group of friends, all of them are from Chicago. Literally every single one. There's only one of my friends that's from Michigan. And she's from Detroit, so she's also from a city. And I've never heard any of them complain about the city life here as well. It is smaller and it's a lot less overwhelming, I would say, than Chicago. And I think they actually kind of like that because like you do still get a city vibe. You still do have things to do. Like Roll said, there are still opportunities to have fun and to get that social atmosphere. But as a whole, I think they really like that it is a little bit more calm because they kind of get the best of both worlds. And there are still cities nearby if you are wanting like that city vibe, like a Chicago. Nashville is like 3 hours away. I have a lot of friends that go to Nashville, just to travel on the weekend. Or Louisville, 45 minutes to an hour up the road if you're looking for that. Cincinnati, yeah, an hour and a half. So if you are looking for like that bigger city vibe, there are nearby cities that you can travel to if that's what you're worried about. But I would say like for the most part, all of my Chicago friends, they've never really complained about the city life here. They do like it. And there is still stuff to do, but it is a little less overwhelming than in Chicago. So.
I think also there's one big other benefit is SEC sports, right? So you know when the Cats are playing,
Oh,
I mean
It
changes the
entire
whole place,
dynamic.
right?
It
And
does.
so
There
it's
is
not
absolutely no fan base
It
like the
feels like a
University
bigger
of
city.
Kentucky
That's
fan
right.
base.
That's
They
right.
come
Oh,
out
yeah.
to everything.
Right.
UK
In
fans are crazy.
numbers. And it is so like
Yeah.
you learn more about the greater Lexington community when sports are happening at
Yes.
the university. Like when things are happening in Rupp Arena, you hear the
You know.
echoing on campus about what's happening. There's no fan base quite like you.
That's
there.
right. And,
I
and,
agree.
and you do get kind of that big city feel when that's going on, right?
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
do.
you know, when there's big time sports going on, and hey, this is big time sports here. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
Yep.
To say the least.
I
Good
like
deal.
it quite a bit because it is kind of like the best of both worlds. Because
I
you get
agree.
the big city vibe of all the opportunities and the different things that are going on, but you also get all the local vintage shops, all the little
Right.
coffee shops. And I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of just sitting in a little tiny local coffee shop with all the art around you, the music, and just studying. Like, I
Right.
love that. And I don't think you'd get that kind of convenience in a bigger city. I think it's too much hustle and bustle.
Right.
But here it's much more calm, which I like a lot.
All right. Someone asked about the weather, harsh weather or tornadoes. I mean, we're not in Tornado Alley. I used to
No.
live in
It's
Oklahoma City.
fine.
We're not there.
Oh, wow.
The harsh weather, not really. I mean, we get a few snows every year, a little bit of rain, but no, I think the weather here is in general pretty mild. Pretty mild.
Yeah, I think the weather goes with the season. When it's cold, it's cold. When it's warm, it's warm. Sometimes it's warm and cold in the same day, but that's okay
Yeah.
too. And so
bring a jacket.
yeah,
It's
you
fine.
you bring a jacket, bring some shorts, bring some boots and some flip flops. You put it all together, you make it happen. But no, the weather is like it's Kentucky. It's Kentucky weather.
Yeah.
And so we do get rain every so often, and you know the humidity is a lot different if you're not from a place where you're used to a lot of humidity. But that's probably the biggest things about the weather, I would say.
Yeah.
But I like that you get all 4 seasons. I will say that because in Alabama, I did not get that at all. I remember right before I came to college, on Christmas Day, it was 75 degrees. And I came here and it was snowing. And I felt like a kid. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because it literally had only snowed one time in my entire 18 years of living in Alabama. So I did like coming here that you do get all 4 seasons. I feel like that was a change for me. So that's definitely something to look forward to if you're somewhere where you don't get all 4 seasons, like in Alabama. So
Honestly, that's the one thing I like about the Lexington winters is when it does snow, it's so much fun. Like the little bowl in front of the library, it's like a little kind of ditch. Everyone
Yeah,
goes
I went sledding.
People make
Oh my gosh.
snowmans. It's just
I was
so much
so
fun.
excited.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. So somebody says, does Bio 101 count toward biology major hours? Bio 101 does count towards your hours. Does it count? Do you know? Did it count
It's
towards
an elective.
an elective? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So everyone has to have at least 120 credit hours, and that counts towards that. The next question is biology a good major if I want to go to medical school? Well, I'm going to turn that question back on you and say, do you want to be a biology major?
yes.
Right?
Do you? That's a really good question.
Because the majority of students who apply to medical school are biology majors, but that doesn't mean that everyone that goes to medical school is a biology major. If you're interested in biology, well, it's a great path. But if you're not interested in biology and you want to go to medical school, well, do what you're interested in. Psychology.
And I will say, like, I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of physicians and clinicians, and you can get into medical school with any major. So don't feel like you have to come in with, like, a biology or chemistry or, like, a science major in general, because I felt like that coming in. And I'm glad that I didn't let that affect my decision. I still chose psychology because I wanted to do it. But I know, like, a lot of people tend to come in and they're like, oh, I have to do this because it's going to prepare me the most. Either way, you can still get in. If you prepare for the MCAT, if you study, they have tutoring spots here that'll help you prepare for that, and you can manage to still get in with any major that you please. Like, you don't have to come in with a science major. So, like, I definitely want to stress that to any pre-med student that's interested in coming here and they're worrying about choosing their major. Choose what you are the most interested in, because you will still have the opportunity to get into med school regardless.
Right. That's the point of a pre-med track.
Yeah,
You know, they
you take
give
those
you
classes.
the classes that you need to get into medical school. They already have the labs, the science credits already mapped out. Freshman year, there was somebody in my sophomore year, there was somebody in my organic chemistry lab who was a trumpet major.
Yeah.
And he just decided to do medicine, but he played professionally. So that's something you can totally do.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very common misconception that you have to be a biology major to go to medical school, and that's not true. Now,
Just do what you love.
Now, 61% of our biology majors that applied to medical school got in 18 and 19. So, I mean, that's a good number, and,
Right.
and by all means, you should do that if that's what you're interested in. But
Right.
hey, if you want to play trumpet and go to medical school, we'll take a
Do
pre-med
it.
track.
Yeah.
Say go
Right.
for it.
Yeah.
Now, did any of you use our pre-med advisors, or did you use our pre-med advisor?
Yes, I actually had a pre-med advisor from freshman year on. I still have the same one, and he's been very helpful to me. I would say they definitely provide you with any resources that you might be looking for, like shadowing, internships, research, anything of that nature. Like they definitely provide that to you as long as you're asking and you're looking for it. So I would definitely say like UK does a really good job of making sure that you're provided with those resources that are going to set you up in the best position for medical school and for whatever that you're interested in after medical school. So you do have that, and definitely get in touch with your pre-med advisor if you are interested in pre-med, because they're able to give you so much information that's really going to benefit you in the long run.
All right. All right, so we'll pass this question on to you, and that is, what are the humanities and social science majors like, and what are some of the careers that you expect to go into?
Sure. So with the humanities, I mean, there's a wide array of majors that you can ultimately choose from. We've got sociology, anthropology, history, political science. I mean, the list is really very varied. Again, I talked a little bit earlier about how political science is so versatile and is so very transferable in its skills, and I think that's one of the major benefits to being a humanities or a social science major. You're going to be working with a very diverse group of people, you're going to be studying a very diverse array of topics, so I mean, it's one of those things that I think is applicable to almost any field that involves people, power structures, or society. So with me, you know, I'm pre-MBA, I'm going to my MBA program this June. I was not a finance major, I'm political science with a minor in history, and then after that is law school. Attorneys, I think law is sort of a common career path for those interested in political science, but you see people go into newscasting, journalism, consulting, accounting. I mean, there's really no sandbox around the humanities, so I think it's a really great major to get in on. I think it's a really great field. You know, I think it's got a lot of unknown strengths.
I feel like just speaking to the humanities, as a philosophy major, you learn so many things that, as you're alluding to, are so interdisciplinary. Philosophy teaches you those skills that involve writing that would be helpful if you are doing some sort of dual degree or dual major and you're coupling philosophy with some science major. You're going to need that writing style, those writing skills when you're doing research, or if you're doing journalism. You're going to need those public speaking skills that philosophy teaches you. And if you're doing anything, interviews, if you want to go into public speaking, if you want to go into broadcast journalism. And you see a lot of those majors within the humanities actually doubling up with students. And so you have students that may be like on a natural science major track and then add on a social science or a humanities type major, just so they get a well-rounded experience and a well-rounded education. The humanities offers you a lot of things that you won't get out of the core curriculum of natural sciences and things of that nature, and that is specifically pertaining to people. And you need to know about people. If you're going to get in the world, if you're going to have an occupation that involves anyone other than yourself, you're going to need to know about people. And so the humanities offers that in abundance.
Yeah, and you know, I've read a lot of articles and stuff about, you know, tech companies. You know, that's the skill they're looking for, right?
Soft
I mean,
skills.
you know, there's plenty of there's I mean, obviously, you know, engineers and computer scientists, those are obviously in demand too.
Absolutely.
But companies like Tesla and Amazon and all these companies, I mean, they need people. They need people that have people skills.
Absolutely.
Right? They need people that can write. They need people that understand people.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You
so
know?
if you even if you were to look into what are major corporations looking for their employees, or what are employers in general looking for, the first thing on the list, I guarantee you, is some sort of team collaborating,
absolutely.
Yes.
some sort of working with others, that sort of dynamic piece. And the humanities, philosophy, sociology, the human sciences, social sciences are teaching you those things, those applicable skills that you can take with whatever pursuits that you're doing occupationally. I know a lot of philosophy majors are on the pre-law track, and so you're going to need that emphasis with people, that sort of know-how when you get into a business room and they give you people that you may be different from, you may have different values than them, but you still have a common goal, and that's to get the work done. And so the major component that people are looking for, regardless of what your major is can you work on a team? Can you do it? Do you have the skills to do it? And so the humanities and the classes, the curriculum that UK offers sort of teaches you how to do that in a very skilled and succinct way.
Excellent. Excellent.
I will say that if you're majoring in a natural science major and you're concerned about not getting that kind of like broad depth worldview, that's what UK Core is for. And so that's kind of, we have an already like pre-list set of everyone at UK has to take a history class, everyone at UK has to take an art class, everyone has to take a writing class. And we've got some stuff, especially, I'll speak specifically towards biology and that kind of natural science. We've got like natural science writing courses, like how to write for research. And you get team building with working in a lab, having a lab group like that, working in research. So I have to work with a PhD student in order to run my project. So we collaborate and I present that research to my lab and we get feedback. And so you still get the speaking skills, the writing skills, that kind of a thing through the science major, and then you'll get kind of the broad world view through the UK core as well.
I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, College of Arts and Sciences is the liberal arts college at the University of Kentucky. So all of our students are getting parts of that. Now, the humanities and social sciences are getting more of it, and they're focusing on it. But like you said, UK core covers that. But on top of that, College of Arts and Sciences has additional requirements that that make sure that our science majors are getting the liberal arts piece as well. So, good. All right. That's a kind of a straightforward question here. How's the mathematics department? I want to be a math major at UK. Well, I can answer that in a few different ways. One, I work with the math department a lot because students take a lot of math classes, and we're always trying to make sure we can accommodate all the students. So I can tell you that our math department is always interested in student success. So whether it's a math major or not, our math department is constantly finding ways to make sure that our students are successful in math. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge across the country with mathematics. But our math department works really hard to make that happen. Now, you said you want to be a math major. Well, you have one big advantage as a math major. Well, you have several, but I'm going to tell you about one. And that is the fact that all these students at UK have to take math. We have an engineering school. We have all these sciences. There's a lot of math that goes with that. That means there's a lot of math professors, but there's not a lot of math majors. So you kind of get, you know, almost one-on-one attention as a math major because you have all these faculty members that are happy to have one of them with them, you know, that are here that are teaching the math course. So the math major is a great major to be in. Let's see. Can a psychology major with a pre-med interest be in the International Living Learning Program?
I would assume they could, though, because you can be in any major and be in any of those living learning programs.
That's
so
right.
I think you would still be able to do that. You would just express interest in that specific living learning program and then let them know. But yeah, you can definitely be in the International Living Learning Program if that's what you're interested in.
That's what's cool about living learning programs.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the specific major or the specific track to do those things. You just have to have an interest. Even with STEM cats, you can be a business major and be in STEM cats. Nobody knows that. You just have to be interested in STEM.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll add also some of the benefits on going in the International Village Living Learning Program as a psychology major pre-med is that if your interest is in learning about other cultures, if your interest is about studying abroad, if your interest is about any of those pieces, well, you're going to get a chance to do that. And that's going to strengthen your resume because you're doing something different, right? And that's always a good option, is to do something different. And again, you know, if you don't get any other theme out of this today, and that is do what interests you, right?
Yes.
I mean, look, you're going to have plenty of time to figure out what your job's going to be. Do what interests you now. And if your interest is to be a psychology major and go to medical school, and in between I want to learn about other cultures, then join the International Village, by all means. So, all right, let's see. I don't know if any of you did this or not, but it says, if I want to change my major, is that possible? Did any of you change your majors? Go ahead.
So I actually came into UK undecided. I knew I was interested in the sciences, so freshman year I just kind of took the basic broad level science gen ed courses that everybody has to take, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Everything interested me. I loved just learning in general. I'm just a very curious person. So I ended up changing my major to biology, changed my minors like 6 different times until I landed on the one I wanted, went back and forth. So I was in the College of Arts and Sciences office in our Patterson office tower a lot. Like talking to advisors, changing my major, changing my minor. I was very indecisive. And it's very possible. You can change your major within A&S pretty easily, but you can also change your major to other colleges pretty easily as well. That just starts with talking to your advisor. So everyone gets an advisor when they start college. It'll be on your MyUK account. They'll be easily reachable. Just schedule an appointment, talk to them about your interests. They can help you on that track.
I think just to plug that in, if you're indecisive about where you want to be, or you don't come in knowing exactly what your major wants to be, I think it would be a great opportunity to take advantage of the exploratory studies program that we have here. And of course we have an exploratory studies that focuses on the natural sciences if you don't know what particular major you want, but you know you want it to be in the natural science realm. And then of course there's another in the humanities and social sciences as well. And so that sort of gives you that opportunity to take advantage of some of the more unique and particular specific classes that we offer at the university, and give yourself an opportunity to sort of dibble and dabble in other sorts of colleges. And maybe you want to take some classes from the College of Education. Maybe you want to take some classes from the College of Business and Economics. Maybe you want to take some of those classes. Maybe you want to take just other A&S classes. And so you give yourself an opportunity to take those classes and get involved with that curriculum and see kind of where you fit. And then I think that if you use that route and you commit to that route, you'll be able to find the major that really works for you. And then, of course, as it was said, you will be able to change it very easily, I think.
And so both, you added a minor. Do you have a minor?
Yes, I have 2 minors.
2 minors, yeah.
And I actually changed my minor. I was Spanish my freshman year. Still love Spanish, but I wanted to do something more directly correlated to what I want to do with my future career. So that's why I added on cognitive science at first, because it was directly related to psychology, and I was really interested in that. And then also I just recently added on philosophy because I took a philosophy course and I just loved it. Like, I really didn't have a reason. I just took it and I loved it. And I was like, I want to add on this minor. So like, I would definitely stress, don't feel like you have to have it figured out when you come here. And don't let anyone else make you feel like that either. Like, you have to have all the answers, because that's not true. And that's not what college is for. College is for figuring out what you want to do. And you have the time, you have the resources. So do that. Like Roll said, start out with exploratory and take some classes that interest you, because UK's course catalog is so huge. It's broad. It is diverse. You can take like a kickboxing class if you want. I mean, it's very diverse. So I would definitely
yoga right now.
Right, and I mean,
major.
that's what I'm saying. Like, don't feel like you have to come in having it figured out, because there's so many courses that you can take here that will allow you to, figure out what your interests are and your passions. So I would definitely say, if you don't know, that's okay. You will definitely figure it out in your time here at UK. So that's just my biggest piece of advice to anyone that doesn't know at the moment. It's okay.
And of course, UK offers their staff and their faculty help. We're trying to figure that out. And so what's great about the office in POT is that they have people specifically there for individuals that have questions about major changes. And I know I was a double major. I was philosophy and sociology, but I put my sociology as a minor, and now I'm a single major and double minoring. And that was one of the things that I just wanted to talk about. I wanted to sort of get a well-rounded perspective on what I should do, the best sort of pathway that I should take given my career aspirations and things of that nature. And the staff and faculty there were so helpful with me sort of figuring that out and getting that done. And so, of course, that's a very common question. That's a very common thing that students have to sort of battle through, regardless of their confidence in their major when they first come in. And so don't be afraid. Don't feel like that you're, doing something wrong or anything like that. If you feel like you want to change your major, it's completely natural, completely normal. And since it's so normalized, since it's so natural, since it's so common, UK offers a plethora of faculty and staff resources to help facilitate that transition from one major to another.
And what made you choose your history minor?
So how I chose my minor is a little bit of a funny story. I was actually taking a class with Dr. Eric Myrick. It was an Atlantic history class. Wonderful professor, probably actually my favorite professor in the amount of time that he spends with his students to kind of help them determine their career path, their interest, what would be in their best interest to take in terms of classes. And we were kind of discussing, how close I was to graduation, other good classes to take. And he just kind of printed out a sheet and he was like, "Did you know you have enough credit hours for a minor in history?" I was like, "Really? Very interesting stuff." And he, encouraged me to apply for the minor, so I did. He kind of vouched for me, guided me through the process. So mine just kind of literally fell into my lap during a conference. So
well,
I was very happy with it.
it's funny you say that because the rest of that question is is it difficult to participate in the honors college and have a majors and minors at the same time? And I was going to say that exact thing. Sometimes just your interest, those minors just happen, or you might have to just take one or two more courses that you were kind of going to take anyway. So typically, if you plan it well, a minor doesn't necessarily add more to you. It just focuses the courses that you take.
Right.
Yes.
So
My wildlife bio minor just basically streamlined my biology major. I took a mammalogy class with Dr. Krupa, who is hands down my favorite professor, and just absolutely loved it. And that's how I kind of fell in with conservation and with wildlife biology. Found out that was one of the classes I had to take, and just kind of went with it. And all the classes for my minor actually were electives for my major. It just kind of worked out, and I was able to add a bio major track because we now have tracks for some of our majors. So I was able to add an ecology and evolutionary biology track along with my major and my minor.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, let's see. Was there one more thing in there? If you have a double major, is it possible to graduate in 4 years? Yes.
Yes.
It's going to take you. It's going to take a little work, but by all means. I mean, especially if you're coming in with some transfer credit or AP credit, you can do that. It's always up to you, right? And how much you're willing to put into it. And no, it doesn't cost you more unless you go over a certain amount of hours, but very rarely do students ever do that. Typically, your tuition is your tuition, and that covers everything.
I think speaking to that point, it makes it especially make or break in a way. It depends on where your majors are. And so obviously having two majors within the same college is going to be a lot easier to facilitate than having two different majors in different colleges. Because each college at UK has their own sort of set of requirements and things of that nature. So you want to make sure that if you have like a major in the College of Arts and Sciences and you want to add on a journalism major within the College of Communication, you have like fulfilled the credits for both colleges within the curriculum that you've taken at UK. And so I can definitely say that if you have two majors within the same college, a lot of the classes that you take for one major can sort of double dip for credit within your other major, especially those common core classes that you have to take anyway. And so I definitely would recommend doing your research, making sure that you're fulfilling the correct requirements, but at the end of the day, it's very doable.
Yep. All right. That's a good question. Can you explain how the College of Arts and Sciences scholarship works? And do the scholarships apply to all tuition? And when will the financial aid packets be mailed? I can't answer that one. We'll get back to you on that one. But the College of Arts and Sciences scholarships, there's one application. If you go onto our website, they'll put the website in the comments. But you go onto our website, you fill out one application, do a couple essays, and you're considered for all of our scholarships. Now, I will tell you that within our college, the majority of our scholarships go to current students. Not all. We have several scholarships that also go to freshmen, but we have several that go to current students. So, for example, let's say that you don't get the package that you had hoped for from the university or as a freshman. That doesn't mean that you're never going to get another scholarship. You can get those scholarships from the department. You can get those scholarships for current students on the Arts and Sciences scholarship page. And again, it's one application, very simple. I encourage you to fill that out. All right. Study abroad. What is study abroad like in A&S? Did any of you study abroad?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I did.
Good.
I actually studied abroad last summer. I took a class with Dr. Krupa, and I went to the Galapagos, and it was a 5-week course. So it was 2 weeks in Lexington and then 3 weeks actually on the islands. And what I really loved about it was just the opportunities that I was granted. I got to do field work. I got to do research with Darwin's finches, which is like actually illegal for you to touch them unless you have permits. I connected with a professor who I'm now hoping to work with for my graduate school, for my master's. And it was just absolutely amazing. We got to live with host families, and I still talk to my host mom. She helped me with my Spanish. It was just absolutely amazing to live there, to be part of the culture, to make friends with people who were going to the university in the Galapagos, and to keep those connections even back in the United States. It was basically painless to apply. It was super easy. The website kind of tells you everything. And there's so many study abroad opportunities. It's absolutely incredible how many opportunities you really have. And you don't have to study abroad within your specific major as long as it interests you. So I could have gone anywhere and done any sort of study abroad as long as it was just something that I was interested in. There's scholarships you can apply for. You can take independent semesters, or you can do summers like I did, or you can do like winters. And there's even research abroad and like volunteering abroad. So you really do have a lot of opportunities within A&S, but also within UK to just kind of branch out.
Yeah, so the College of Arts and Sciences leads the university in sending students abroad every year, and like you said, it can be anything. We send students all over the world all the time, and there's a lot of scholarship funds. You know, whether it's from the college, we have some funds that are specifically for our students to study abroad. We have funds. The Confucius Institute gives funds for students to study in China. We just have so many opportunities for students to study abroad. I always tell, if you come to UK, you're going to hear me say this 100 times, but that is, if you are here and don't study abroad, make it be because you don't want to, not because you can't afford to. Because you'll be very surprised. It's very, very affordable to study abroad if you want to study abroad.
I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I didn't think that my classes were going to line up. I didn't think that I was going to have enough money to do it. And it just, with talking to the study abroad office, with talking to my professor, and with just kind of getting all the information, it all worked out. And I'm very fortunate to have gone. And I'm so lucky. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
everyone should study abroad.
For a lot of those study abroad opportunities, you can actually use your financial aid package to
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
study abroad.
Yeah.
And so if you have like if you have like a particular financial aid package for a semester and you choose to study abroad, you still get that financial aid.
Yes.
But it's just applied to your study abroad venture. And then of course, university actually has faculty that work full time in different countries. I know I plan to study abroad at the end of the semester going into the summer in South Africa. And the point person is actually a UK faculty member who teaches full time but in the country of South Africa. And so I'm really excited to like work with them and then get to enjoy the scenery as well.
Excellent. All right, let's see. Trinity, I guess you probably came from the smallest town here.
Oh, yeah.
So can you give advice on moving from a small, low-populated area to a larger, more populated area? But before you answer that, it's interesting, right? This actually kind of talks about Lexington's strength, because we had Chicago saying, whoa, Lexington might be a little too small for me. And then this one saying, hey, Lexington might be a little too big, right? So that really plays into our strength, which is that we're really a nice mid-sized city.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. And that's something that I was actually really worried about coming from a small town, is because I had never really been exposed to a larger city of any sort. Of course through traveling, but I never stayed for an extensive period of time in a bigger city. So I was a little bit worried about that coming into it. But I will say the really good thing about Lexington is that it's big enough to where there's things going on, but it's still small enough to where it's not overwhelming. So that's what really drew me here, is because I didn't want to be somewhere where it was just like the hustle and bustle. It was too many people. It was too much going on. So I really do like that about Lexington. I don't think it's overwhelming in any sense. You do still get that smaller community that you are looking for and that you are used to. But outside of that, you still have like that social atmosphere that maybe you don't get in a smaller hometown, like how mine was. So I really like that about it. It's a good balance of both. So if you're worried about that, don't be. I promise it's not overwhelming in any sense. And you do feel comfortable coming here. I also think like being on campus my first year and like the LLP, that helped me a lot with feeling a little bit more comfortable making that transition, because my hometown is 6 hours away. So that was another thing that I was worried about, was the distance, being off on my own from the first time, away from my parents. But I will say like that LLP really gave me like that sense of community. I felt comfortable. I felt secure and safe. And UK really does do a good job of making you feel like you're at home if you're far away from home. So if that's what you're worried about, I would definitely say don't be. Like, you do still get that sense of community, and it's not bad at all.
Okay, that's good. All right. I'll take this next one. It said, I'm leaving the military and relocating from North Carolina with my family to attend UK. What housing resources do you recommend, and can you speak on veterans resources? Well, I'm also a veteran, so welcome. The University of Kentucky has a very, very strong network of veterans. We have a very active Veterans Resource Center. A lot of senior administration in our university are veterans. Our provost is a veteran. So we have a lot of veterans resources. Everything from mental health resources to just readapting. We have a special UK 201 class for veterans. And so there's a lot of pieces there. Now, the housing piece is a little more difficult. It kind of depends on your situation. But we'll put my email address in this in the notes here, and I'd like you to contact me personally because I take a personal interest in our veterans, and I'd like to help you. So please make sure you look and get my email address, and we can talk personally on that one. Next question is what is the student to faculty ratio? It's 16 to 1. That's our ratio, and that's strong at a large public research university like this.
For sure.
Before we move from the faculty, I want to ask all of you: have you had any faculty members who have really affected your life, really made a difference to you that you'd like to, heck, give them a shout out here today?
I would have to say absolutely. So my freshman year, I was first generation college student, right? So I didn't really know much about the college atmosphere, had no experience at a full-time university. The 30,000 people on a given day on campus, I was not used to it. I was also working 30 hours a week off campus. And so, like getting connected was something that I really struggled with my first year, particularly my first semester. But within that first semester, I had two particular faculty members that have served to be like some of the most influential people, not just for me occupationally, not just for me professionally, not just for me as a student, but also for me personally. One of those individuals is Dr. Kathy Kern. She is a historian by trade. She specializes in women's studies and activism within women's rights and things of that nature. And she's also one of the associate provosts here at the university. But one thing that she actually granted me to do, meeting with her my first semester, she actually taught one of my classes. And so after connecting with her through that class, I got some opportunities to get more involved on campus through that class, served on like some panels and things of that nature through that class. But she never forgot my name. Now, this is a huge class, right? But she never forgot my name. And so I would see her like on campus and talk to her and, everyday kind of conversation. That sort of led to two things. It led to my first internship at the university. I interned directly with her office in the Center for the Enrichment of Learning and Teaching. And it led to my first TA experience at UK. And so as an undergraduate, you don't really get too much experience actually teaching courses, but I will graduate with 2 years of teaching experience underneath Dr. Kathy Kern. And so that was one of the biggest influencers of my personal development, my academic development at the university. She actually wrote one of my letters for grad school. And then, of course, the head of the philosophy department, Dr. Brandon Look, was another one of the most influential persons especially within my philosophy major. Like getting connected with him, he also taught my intro to philosophy class my first semester as a freshman here. And he wrote another one of my letters for grad school. And so like talking to him, even when he was on sabbatical, we emailed each other back and forth when he was in Germany, and like being able to talk to him, and he gave me some really helpful advice taking like my philosophy curriculum from my freshman year all the way to now my senior year. He has advised me with classes to take and which faculty members would be great resources for other things and things of that nature. Those two particular faculty members invested in me personally, and that's not something that I think I would have been able to get at another institution.
So there's two things I want to point out that might get missed in what you said here. First of all, the first person you talked about was an associate provost, right? Associate provost in a large university, taking an interest in a freshman. Made enough interest that she never forgot your name. For sure. Right? Second person you mentioned was Dr. Look, the department chair in a large university, right? Teaching what course?
Intro to philosophy.
Intro to philosophy. Right? So, there's a lot of times people will say, well, you'll never get to talk to faculty members or this or that.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely speaks to, I guess, what we call signature strength, right? And so these are people who wear a lot of different hats at the university, do a lot of different things outside of the university. Dr. Look is internationally recognized for his research in the realm of philosophy. Dr. Kern travels internationally on behalf of the institution. And so, like, these are not people that just sort of sit around in their offices all day, but they actually do things on a very daily basis. But it speaks to their intentionality. Like, Dr. Look specifically intended to teach Intro to Philosophy classes that semester, and Dr. Kern specifically taught, it was a freshman only course, the one that she taught me my freshman year. And so like it speaks to their intentionality as faculty members being invested not just in the students but in the campus. And that's what sort of facilitates those sort of networks and connections, because I've been able to utilize their connections to help me as I progress and matriculated through college.
And who was the co-teacher with Dr. Kern in the
The dean
freshman
of the
class?
College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Mark Humbly.
Yeah.
And so, like, being connected to him in that capacity, having been taught by him for 1 year and teaching alongside him for 2 years, it's so crazy. Like, the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, his phone number's in my phone. I can call him, and like, we can talk about stuff, right? So like he's called me and asked me questions about the college, about things that I've been able to take away, about different experiences. And so, like, being connected with the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, associate provost of the institution, the head of the philosophy department. Like, if I had a concern about anything regarding my experience at UK, they are the persons to change it. And so being able to, like, talk to them and be able to communicate just different ideas and seeing those ideas manifested in different ways has been one of the things that I take, personal stock in, being able to change small things about the university and kind of leave a footprint here.
Excellent, excellent. And you had mentioned Dr. Myrup before. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Dr. Myrup?
Absolutely, yeah. Dr. Eric Myrup, I took his Atlantic history course. It was an amazing course. We got to know each other pretty well. He had worked with me to do some advising with me in various classes that I could take. He also was the one who introduced me to the history minor. So he was an amazing professor. He takes a real, very personal interest in his students, and I think that really personally helped me succeed in his class. There was one other professor that I wanted to go ahead and just sort of recommend to anybody, Dr. Horace Bartolo. I had him for 2 different classes, both graduate level courses. This was a semester where I was already taking, in addition to his 2, another graduate level course, one of my more difficult, strenuous semesters here at the University of Kentucky. But he was an absolutely outstanding professor. I mean, he will definitely challenge you to put out your absolute best effort, your best pieces of work. There is a great deal of reading and writing. It is a graduate level course in political economy. But I mean, he will prepare you for graduate school if that's what you're interested in. He will absolutely work with you to achieve things that you may not have thought possible. So I mean, if you consider yourself a good student, but you want to really push that mold and challenge yourself, I would strongly recommend Dr. Bartolo for anybody interested in political economy, politics. He was great.
Excellent, excellent. I'm sure you two have answers too, but we're going to run out of time here, so let me move on to the next question. How does AP credit work, and how do I get my credit transferred to UK? Did any of you come in with AP credit?
Yeah, I did actually. So I can kind of talk about this a little bit. If you go online, you can actually see what your AP credit transfers to in amounts of UK credit. So I took AP US History, AP World History, AP Bio, AP, there's something else. I took a dual credit psych class through WKU as well.
Yeah.
And you can go online and actually see what your AP credit will transfer to, depending on like what score you got on the AP exam, how many credits you got, and what classes those credits actually attribute to at UK. And all you do is you just send your AP score to that college, and it'll show up on your transcript when you just come here. So freshman year when I was, well, I guess the summer before freshman year when I was registering for my first semester of classes, they already told me the classes I didn't have to take because I had credit for them.
Yep, so I would say go into your search engine and say University of Kentucky AP credit. You'll get a nice little chart, tells you exactly what you get there. Now, here's something very important. Get those scores sent in, because what happens a lot of times is when students come to their advising, they say, oh, well, I have AP credit in that, but they've never sent the scores in. So get your scores sent in. That way we can evaluate them, make sure that it's on your transcripts, and then we can advise you better when you come for your advising conference at that time. If you haven't sent it in yet, make sure you bring the printout of those scores with you. All right. Trinity, this one's specifically for you.
Okay.
What are you looking to do with your medical degree?
Oh, okay. Well, as I stated before, I am a psychology major. So for me, I'm a people person. I love being around people. I'm a socialite. I love learning about why we do the things that we do, why we think the way that we do. So that's what really drove me to psychology. But I've always wanted to practice medicine along with that. And so for me, I plan on going to medical school and directing my interest and my passion towards psychiatry, which would allow me to be around people and have patients and get that one-on-one rapport with people, but also focus on mental health, because that's also something that I'm very passionate about. Especially like being African American, there's a huge stigma against mental health and seeking out treatment, admitting that you need help, and utilizing those resources that you have. So for me, that's something that I really want to focus on moving forward, especially with my medical degree. It's just like focusing on the African American community and helping to alleviate that stigma that we do have against it.
Excellent, excellent. All right, our last question is, what does a schedule look like for a biology minor? Well, that's a little difficult to say because it kind of depends on what the major is, right?
Yes.
So I can tell you this, that when you come here for your advising conference, if you talk to your advisor, let them know what you're wanting to do. They will lay out your plan for you. You'll know your plan going forward. So it's a very difficult question to ask. It's a little broad, but if your advisor knows what you're wanting to do, then they will guide you to a schedule that will help you achieve your goals. Yeah. Would you all agree with that?
I will say if you're like super gung-ho about it and just really interested right now in figuring out what you want to do, there are major and minor sheets already online. So all you have to do is look up UKY biology minor sheet. And it gives you exactly like every class, how many credit hours it is. Sometimes the prerequisites are already on there, and total how many hours it actually takes to achieve that minor or major. So you can already kind of look at that. But yes, like you said, your advisor will already deal with all of that for you.
And then also giving to that point, and this kind of goes for like any minor, depending on what the major is, as you had said, some of the classes that you need for the prerequisite for the minor, you may have already fulfilled in the major.
Right.
And so it's just really important to when you come here and you talk to your academic advisor to see where, if anywhere, your major and your minor can overlap to sort of facilitate the most effective classes and curriculum that you're able to take at the university. And so, like, speaking from, I have 2 minors and a major, and so I haven't, even though both my minors are very different, they had some classes that overlapped along with my major classes that overlapped, and so like I've been able to do some double dipping and things of that nature to make it doable. So I would just make sure you ask those critical questions when you come here for your advising.
All right, now we're going to go away from the YouTube questions, and I have some questions for y'all that I think that I want to ask. I guess the first thing I want to ask is, what would you tell yourself when you were a high school senior? If you're sitting, the people watching this video right now, what would you tell yourself if you could go back about the college experience and about the stresses they're feeling now and the process that they're doing now, all of that? What would you tell yourself? Let's start with you, Nolan.
I think for me it would just be it's okay to be nervous. I think that a lot of us who maybe come from small towns or who are first generation, such as myself, there's this, you almost feel like maybe you don't quite belong at a large university such as this. Yeah. And I mean, those are perfectly valid feelings, but you will find your place here at the University of Kentucky. I certainly did. You will grow to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and eventually you will very much, I think, find your stride within the momentum of the university. I mean, it is okay to feel a little intimidated. It's okay to feel a little bit lost at first. Those feelings will definitely grow with you, and you will be able to turn that into fuel, and I think that that's probably one of the best pieces of advice that I would give young me.
All right. Let's see. Trinity, you go next.
I would say, like, my biggest piece of advice is to do what you believe is best for you, not what other people believe is best for you. And I'll kind of tailor that more towards, like, academics and all that and, like, choosing a major, because I know that that's something a lot of incoming freshmen are nervous about, is doing anything that they believe is going to set them up in the best position later, but it's not something that they're really interested in. So, like, do what you're passionate about. Find out what you are passionate about. Look for those interests and things that interest you. And, don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone and step outside of the box, because I think that you get the most from that versus just staying on like the straightforward path of, well, I think I need to get from point A to point B and this is what I need to do to get there, so I'm just going to do that. No, like, definitely step outside of your comfort zone and do things that scare you a little bit. I would definitely say, like, that's the biggest piece of advice that I would have gave myself back then, and also anybody else coming into this process.
All right, Don, you're next.
I think I would say it's baseline to just chill out. I'm a very high-strung person, as I'm sure some of you all might be, and I was so worried about like step 1 to step 2 to step 3, like what you were saying, Trinity. And I would just tell myself to take a deep breath, to do what you love to do, to be yourself above all. Just be yourself. Trust in the process. Every puzzle piece will fall into place. And that's just kind of what happened for me as well, like with picking my career and picking my major. I didn't know what I was doing until last year, my junior year of college. That was when I decided my career path. And obviously, like, my major was done, my minor was done, but I didn't know where I was going with it until like a year from today, which is insane. Because right now I'm already applied to master's programs and like my career is basically mapped out, but I didn't know where I was going until last year. And so just taking it in one step at a time, breathe in, breathe out, it'll all be okay.
Absolutely. If I could give myself one piece of advice for the freshman or the high school version of myself, I would definitely say embrace the opportunity of sure, why not? right? And so
Yes.
there's so many opportunities that you will be given at the institution, and it all starts with you saying, sure, why not? It may be a lot of things that you have never done before. It may be some people that you never thought you'd be collaborating with before. It may be a lot of different facets, opportunities, nuances that are particular to your particular college experience. But it all starts with you having the courage to step outside of your comfort zone, and Trinity had said, like, be available to the opportunity of sure, why not? Because sure, why not has gotten me a lot of opportunities, a lot of leadership positions, a lot of things that I've been able to do, that I've been able to put on my resume, a lot of people that I've been able to use as references for a lot of things that I've been able to do. All started with me saying, sure, why not? With like teaching and preaching and all those sorts of things that I'm into, all of the passions that I have, it all started with me just saying, sure, why not? Why not try it? Why not step out on faith? Why not just give it my all for the one time and see what comes out of it? And I have had a solid return on every sure why not that I've had at the university.
I think that's a big thing, because no matter what happens, it's a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
So even if you take that class, or you talk to this person, or you join
Yeah.
this club and it turns out badly, then you know.
Yeah.
And it's better than not having had the opportunity in the first place.
Yeah, you'll leave with the knowledge, you'll leave with the network and the connections.
Yes.
Right.
And those two things in of themselves are able to propel you into all these different
Priceless.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so as we get ready to close here, I want to ask each of you, what's next? We'll start with you, Ro.
Well, what's next? So right now I'm applying to Masters of Divinity programs. And so I'm hoping to pursue a Master of Divinity after my graduation in May. And long term, hopefully teaching at an institution like the University of Kentucky, while also engaging in full-time ministry and pastoring. That's where my heart is. The African American church in the United States is where my passions and where my love is. And so I'm pursuing those degrees.
Excellent.
So I've applied to master's programs. I'm almost all the way done. And I hope to get my master's in environmental science, conservation biology. So master's first, and then hopefully PhD, maybe the Peace Corps, somewhere in between there. I want to work with nonprofit organizations at its baseline to help spread just the knowledge of environmentalism just around the world, and how we can be more green, and how we can appreciate the earth that gives back to us.
Nolan?
So for myself, I was actually accepted about 2 weeks ago now into the Gatton Masters of Business Administration program. So I'll be doing the 1-year executive MBA starting in June of this year. After that, I might maybe take a year off to kind of explore around the world a little bit, do some travel. And then it's law school. So here as the undergrad finishes up, I tell myself I'm halfway through
Right.
the formal education. But no, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to really a lifetime of learning. So.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely with the halfway there. Right now I'm in the process of preparing for the MCAT, which is the admissions test to get into medical school. So I'll be taking that in May, and then I'll actually start my application process to medical school in July. So I definitely agree with just the halfway there. A lot of schooling ahead of me, but I am really excited about it, and it's something that I'm passionate about. So I'm just, optimistic for the future.
Sending good vibes for them.
Right. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Prayers needed, honestly.
There you go. All right. So, a couple things I want to leave you with. First, if you haven't applied, why not? All right.
Sure, why not?
What's your
Sure,
why
why not?
not?
That's right. Apply. Sure, why not? Apply. That doesn't hurt anything to apply. So there's a couple things. The regular track for applications, the cutoff for that is February 15th. Make sure you apply for that. If you have applied, if you have been admitted, apply for housing. So the early action track for housing is February 15th. So a lot of people want to come to the University of Kentucky. So sometimes the residence hall space can be limited. So students who apply for housing by February 15th will get a bed. So make sure that you apply by February 15th.
For sure.
Now, I'm not telling you that if you apply on February 16th that you have to sleep in the student center. But the early action track for housing application is February 15th. If you haven't visited campus, come to campus. Come to campus.
Definitely.
You can go. You can do a campus tour. You can come to one of our arts and sciences visits. We do pre-med visits. We do pre-law visits. We do natural science visits. We do specialized visits. We do all these visits that you can do. So you can get to those. All those links are going to be on this comments. So you can go on there and you can sign up for all those visits. come to campus. I'm telling you, once you come to campus and when you see what we have to offer, you're going to be shocked and you're going to want to come.
Yeah.
So come to campus. I mean, the transformation in this campus just in the time you all have been here.
Insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look the same.
No.
Not at all.
In just 3
This
years.
building was not here when I first got
Right.
here.
Right.
I can say that for sure.
Yeah.
And I would say UK has one of the nicest campuses that I've seen. Like,
Oh,
for
for
sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So-
I can definitely say the university is something to experience.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
just you visit and you look around, but you have to feel it.
Yes.
And so I think that coming on those visit days and utilizing those resources, stopping people on campus when you're here,
Yeah.
like stopping students, hey, what are you into? What are things that you do like on campus?
Right.
Yeah.
Those small things
Yes.
can really have what some people call like a lollipop moment in sociology,
Yeah.
and inspire you to do things worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Look, stop any student when you're on campus. Any of them. It doesn't matter. Just stop someone. Ask them, hey, what do you think? That's how confident I am in our student body and the experience at this university.
I've been stopped. I can tell you that
agree.
it is something that you should do because there's a lot of information that current students have that a prospective student may never have thought to ask the question
Yeah.
about.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
goes miles. It goes miles in your academic journey.
Good. All right, so I'm not going to read off a bunch of websites. They're all going to be in the comments. But a couple things, follow us on social media. All those links are going to be there. There's a lot of information that comes out on that, so we'd like you to do that. And then if there's any questions that you have specifically, asrecruiting@uky.edu.
Yeah.
Anything you all want to close with?
Go Cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BBN.
That's right.
Cats
Go.
Monandi.
All right. So thanks for watching, and be sure to contact us if you have any questions at all.